If you've ever worked support or rolled a truck, you're going to enjoy this one.
I was up on a roof and my ladder blew down.
And Santa Claus was going to have to come help you out.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no chimney for me to go down. I was stuck up there.
Every ISP has at least one customer story that still makes your blood pressure spike.
We had a proper celebrity customer.
Okay, name.
Yeah.
You give us
I'm
a
a
name.
believer.
I think.
Yeah.
And speaking of homes, what about brothels? And your technicians are going out there and they're trying to do the right things, right?
Oh, I've got a good story that's adjacent
Did
to
that
that.
just,
It did. Yeah.
Gentlemen, bear with me. We're going to throw out the entire show format for today's episode. Okay?
No paddles?
No paddles, no what ifs. This is just going to be a conversation about stories from the field, crazy stories from the field, which I think we could probably do an entire season of these stories, truth be told. But I know that you guys have gathered up some more yarns to share with our listeners. So yeah, that's an old saying too. Don't start with me, Larry. Rick, I'm going to start
I'm
with
old.
you.
I got it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Rick's like, yarn? Yarn? Yes, that's what your sweater's made from, honey.
Oh,
So,
I guess I gathered all my yarn.
all right. Let's go ahead and start with you. I know you've got a pretty in-depth story to share with us. Let's get this party started.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with this one. It might suck the air out of the room a little bit, but you know, I think it's starting with a bang for sure. So this was at an installation I was doing, and just it started like any other day,
Like
right?
any other day.
Yeah.
Birds chirping, sun rising.
Yeah, it was a fine day.
Loaded.
Yeah, we're ready to go. And it was cable run time, and it really was one of those cable runs where there was like, here's two terrible options. Which one would you like? Like, to be fair,
right.
it wasn't breaking any rules. It wasn't anything that I wouldn't do in my own home. But they had a fully finished basement, no ceiling access. Like, there was very few things that could be done. But I said, we can do this or we can do that. And it was a woman and her kids that were there. It was middle of the day. I think it was my first install. So, you know, wrapping up.
Middle of the day is when your first
No.
install is?
I'm just trying to place it. I think it was the first install. So, like, you know, I'd be wrapping up
Right.
maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something. And so she chose the cable run. I completed the job, and we were just finishing up, and her husband rolls in the driveway and comes in, and I say hi, whatever. And the energy was like a little bit off, but whatever. And we're in the basement, and I'm showing him what I did.
Oh, no.
And he definitely does not like what was done, which, like I said, I wasn't shocked by, because there really wasn't a great way to do it, but it was done, obviously. And he was starting, you know, to get a little bit loud, and you know, things escalated pretty quickly. And I'm looking past him at the wife, kind of expecting her to be like, well, we talked about it or whatever. And she shot me this look that I will never forget. And it was basically just like,
Don't tell him I did this.
like, don't say anything.
I knew it.
And I was like, okay. So, you know, a lot of these things, like, what do I do? How do I handle this? And keep in mind, you're in people's homes. In this case, I'm in his basement, backed into his basement. He's getting more aggressive. As he's getting close to me, I start to piece things together. I can smell alcohol on his breath. And this is why the time of day was important. This was like 11 a.m. He drove home from work to check in on what was going on. Like, this situation was way bigger than me. And I could tell that. So I didn't go into, well, your wife told me to do this, because I was afraid of, frankly.
She thanks you, right?
Right.
If she
I was
gave you
afraid
that
of what he's
glare,
going to do
right.
when I leave. So instead, I just sort of like backed the conversation out of the home, and I was able to get it into the driveway at least. And he was just ratcheting up the whole time. So I eventually just kind of got it into the van. We had not completed. I think maybe I had gotten signatures, but not payment. It was incomplete by all measures. And I just called the owner of the company at that time and told him what was going on. And I think, interestingly enough, he was mad. And I think his plan was, well, let's just take the damn CPE off the roof and these people can go to hell, basically, right? Like, he was fired up.
Because he wants to take care of his staff.
Right. The
Yeah.
whole situation is just just terrible.
It's
right?
sucky on all levels. Yeah.
In the end, they did remain customers. It was one of those where you would put a note on the file, about like a certain protocol about going there. Obviously, it did not escalate beyond, to the point where you need the cops involved.
But
basically.
you always in a two-man crew. You
Right.
Don't ever send
It
a
was
single
calculated,
installer.
right?
Yep.
Because the guy was, unhinged. So yeah, eventually we did, wrap it up. But that was one of those moments that kind of it just changes you, and it reminds you of the the way people live.
The humanity of the business
Yes.
is what that reminds you of.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, I don't think there's any operator that doesn't have special notes on file for their customers, because this person may be hard of hearing, or this person may be in a domestic abuse situation that is
Yes.
odd, but you need to take it into consideration when you're communicating with the customer. So that's a tough story to tell for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got that knowing look, you did the right thing.
Oh,
not,
it
not
just
saying anything.
sent chills down my spine. And I don't remember anything. I remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I can, vividly remember what happened, how I felt. And in retrospect, I think I actually played it out pretty well. But yeah, that was definitely like the closest. And I left out, he was literally saying, I'm going to knock you out. To me, like this escalated so
You're
fast.
An internet installer. I mean, that's just sheer insanity.
It's wild, but so is coming home drunk at 11 a.m. from your job.
Yeah.
So
From your job, right? It's not like
In
you
your
was
car.
just
there's a lot happening here. A lot of data points
right?
piling up really
And you're
fast.
not working from home. Not that those of us who work from home drink all day.
Not all day.
Not all of us.
Not all of us, or not all day.
Larry, you got a story for us?
Well, I mean, I've got a similar.
Hopefully
story.
something more fun than mine. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's another angry customer who wanted to cancel, and I may have shared this with you. But he wanted to cancel. We had to come take down the equipment that day, and if we didn't, he told us he was going to shoot it off the roof. So we can't get. I mean, we did cancellations in between jobs. That was typically
You're not dropping everything to go
right.
grab
It's
a
like,
CP.
oh, we've got a customer who wants to cancel. Let's, call the customer install and tell them we can't be there because we're going to take down a
the
customer.
inbound money,
Right,
the outbound
yes.
money, yeah.
Follow
the
the money.
churn.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to them in reasonable time frames, but one day was the only time frame we had. The guy brought the radio in the next day, set it on the counter, left, told us who he was. Bullet hole he lived up to his story.
He shot it off the roof?
It didn't go through the back. These were like Elvarian radios that were solid metal in the back, so the slug was still in the radio.
Wow.
So did you charge him for the equipment?
Oh yeah,
and
we
send it
charged
to
him.
collections?
We charged him for the equipment.
I'm sure he didn't pay.
Probably not. We probably had to send it
Yeah.
to the collections
Bad debt.
agency, and it was probably one of the other 6 collections they were trying to get from this guy because it almost was inevitable. Anything you sent to collections, and we didn't do that all that often. I mean, there were a lot of them we'd just write off, but when they went to collections, it was usually like, yeah, okay, good luck. We've got 6 other cases against this guy.
Right.
You're not getting your money back.
Yeah.
But really shot it off. It's like,
Man of his word.
right.
Yep.
But at least he went up and then retrieved it, I guess. I don't know why he felt the need to do that.
Did you send a picture to Alvarian? Yeah, that's kind of cool.
No, we didn't.
It's
actually,
bulletproof. You have bulletproof
you have
gear.
a half bullet. I mean, it was a plastic front, but it was solid metal back.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
That's wild. A lot of the stories that I hear from the field are about pets, animals, birds, snakes, installers who are allergic to cats. You're in someone's house for 2 hours and you've got allergies. You better be carrying some
Benadryl.
antihistamine with you, and then not have a heavy lunch because you're gonna be asleep for the afternoon. But one of the stories that one of our customers shared with me was about a guy who would let his boa constrictor roam in the house.
Oh, come on.
And the technician was like, "Can you please put the snake away?" And he's like, "No, this is the snake's house." And the guy's like, "I really feel uncomfortable on the ground working with my tools with your snake slithering through the house. I'm really asking you to put this put your pet away.
The fact that he had to say that out loud is ridiculous.
It's
Why did he
you
come
can't
up
make this
right
stuff
next
up.
to me and go solid to see how big I am?
It just gives me like the ibby cheese, right? I'm like, is it feeding time? I don't know. So what do? The guy actually went and sat in the car and he was like, I'm not doing this installation unless you take care of the animal. I'm sorry.
I think that's a reasonable line to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't think any owner in their right mind would fault a technician who was in that same situation. I really don't.
You might think they were joking when they tell you what's happening.
Because sometimes you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. That's wild.
But cats and dogs, and it's a friendly dog, it's fine. Yeah. You know, a friendly dog in your space is going to try and protect your space. Take care of your technicians and put the pets away and make it easier for the installers to get in and get out as quickly as possible.
We did a lot of out in the country type installs, and you get farm cats. They've got lots of them. I know more than once our installers went home with cats in the van.
Cat in the back of the
Oh
van.
yeah, because
done that.
it was
Left the doors
warm.
open.
They left the doors open, and it found that immediately.
Yep. I've had that with kittens. You hear a little.
All right.
it's
At
like-
least one of my installers kept the cats. He's like, he's like.
Well, he might not have known what house it came from if he'd been to multiple installations.
He did know
that
which
day.
one it came from, and he did actually call them back to make sure it was okay. They're like, oh yeah, we got cats all over the place. We don't care if
Farm,
we take.
yeah.
They're right. It was a farm. They're all over literally.
Do you ever have-
and bees, which are like all over as well?
I do have
that's
the
a good
most
one.
Texas animal story ever, though. There was an operator in West Texas that their truck got gored by a bull because he'd broken through the fence and he left a gore hole in the side of the truck.
No
and they left
way.
it there. They did not patch it. They're like, yeah, Texas, let's go.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Wow.
You can't make it up.
Yeah, that's a story you can't make up.
Do you ever get like runoff properties by dogs? Because sometimes, well, I guess I shouldn't assume, but sometimes when we had things like just signal tests or equipment repos or whatever,
Right.
you're not necessarily scheduling that in, and people are putting their animals away. And same deal with like rural or farm properties. You may not even know that there's a dog until you're halfway up a ladder or whatever the case may be. And
And you're staying halfway up the ladder because that dog's not going to let you down.
I had a couple of close calls, and then finally one day, yes, I got nipped, and luckily it definitely went through the leg of my pants, and I don't think it quite broke skin. Like I didn't have to go get rabies shot or anything like that, but that definitely taught me to be even more cautious because you just don't know, and if you're there by yourself,
Right.
But opening cabinets at tower sites and bee infestations.
the worst.
A snake has found its way into your cabinet and you're reaching in and not really paying attention to what's going on. Oh no, sir.
Spiders that have claimed residence in the cabinets. Yep.
That makes me think of Harry Potter. Like, stop.
Running an ISP means your support team sees everything, the good and the bad. Sonar brings clarity and structure to your operations so your team can stay aligned, focused, and supported. See how at sonar.software. You ever open up some of those dead radios to try and figure out what's going on, only to find like like ants? It's like they're attracted to the electronics, and they just keep getting attracted, but they die as soon as they get too close to the stuff, and they just keep sending out signal and more and more.
Don't say that
ants.
because people are going to think that it's killing brain cells. It's just killing ants, guys. It's just killing ants.
killing
it's
ants.
fine.
Well, let's talk about that actually. Did you have to navigate the tinfoil hat crew in terms of like you did wireless internet? We definitely did, and it's in different sort of capacities. My favorite brand of that is people that refused to have Wi-Fi in their home. The Wi-Fi was, whatever, it was going to give you cancer, kill your brain cells, or, whatever. Change your, political stance or whatever people are afraid of.
It's still a thing. I mean, that hasn't gone away. It's very prevalent.
But it's ironic when I'm coming to install wireless internet and then you're not going to run Wi-Fi. Like you're sort of choosing that this is the problem and then escaping that. Or people that were really vocal. Sometimes we would have, it wasn't very often, but sometimes you'd have to have a public meeting to talk about tower placements and that kind of thing. And people would show up at the public meetings and, with their facts that they've gathered from their research and try to derail things. And you just sort of have to give people their moment and, let them say their piece. But that can be very disruptive.
Yeah, we didn't have it, at least I didn't see it so much in the house and stuff, but at public, almost any time we wanted to have a public meeting to put up a tower somewhere, there was somebody there who was like, oh, this is going to, cause all of our children to come down with cancer. They're going to be mutants. It was always, people were very afraid of that. And I'm like, be more concerned about that FM radio station putting out, 13,000 watts. I get to put out half a watt.
Yep.
Your microwave is much more detrimental to you than my Wi-Fi is going to be.
Or cell
But I bet
signal.
you
That's
still,
absolutely
make your
everywhere.
microwave popcorn.
You need your tinfoil hat because you get 4G or 5G signal everywhere. My tower isn't going to make any difference.
Right.
Yeah.
This has been an ongoing issue. I remember when I bought my first house in the early 90s, the previous owner had literally tinfoil in every window covering the rays that were coming into his house to protect himself. Every flipping window in the house. So it's not going away, and you continue to hear about it online for sure.
Probably kept the paint from fading in the house.
Right.
I mean, you probably didn't have to paint the walls real quickly.
Nice. Got another good story for us?
Yeah, I guess I'll bring it back to maybe the lighter side of drunk customers.
Three-thirds.
We had a few situations, but certainly one sticks out more than others. It was one of those voicemails that was left late night, and it made its way around the office because it was just wild. And this guy definitely poured himself probably a couple 3/3 drinks, and just ranting and raving and swearing and hooting and hollering, and all you can do is laugh. But it is funny because if I recall correctly, when you called that person back, or when whomever it was called that person back, they didn't even remember leaving it.
But you were on speed dial, man, so you got the brunt of his ire.
Yeah, he said his piece for sure. That's just entertaining, really.
Voicemail, it was always amazing. People are such different human talking to the voicemail versus, we had so many examples of that.
Oh, I don't know. I've had people be assholes on the phone.
Well, okay,
so-
you can, but they're much more likely to be assholes on the voicemail. And then you call them back and they're like the sweetest,
Or on
nicest.
Facebook.
Like, it's like, do you not remember the message you left for us that we're calling you back?
You hurt my feelings.
You hurt my feelings, right?
It's so awkward.
But, going back to the microwave, that actually causes problems. Bad microwaves
Oh, yeah.
leak at just the right 2.4 frequency. It's right around that same thing that you need for the Wi-Fi in your house and for, in this case, the radio on the guy's house as well. And it took us forever to
Figure out that
troubleshoot
was what the conflict was.
the fact that it was his microwave.
Every time I have a burrito, my internet goes out. What's up with that?
Right, but people
How do you
don't.
get to that?
You don't.
How
Right?
do you
you
make
don't
that
get to
connection?
that right
I would-
away.
I would
No,
never connect the dots on that.
It takes a while to figure
we
it out.
did. I mean, right? It's not
Holy
intuitive,
smokes.
but I mean, if we start getting deep in, we would start asking people like that. Well, is it when you're running your microwave?
You ever have people put the
Fluorescent
router
lights
on the
either,
microwave? I literally had that one time, and that's where they had.
where they decided
Yeah.
to move it because it,
Yeah.
it looked best there?
I don't know,
Have y'all ever
for
had a
whatever
customer
reason.
get really, really angry when they've moved the equipment, you've come back, realize they've moved the equipment, but they don't want to pay for a service run because the internet's bad, right? But it's bad because of something they did.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, just
We had people move the antennas outside. They decided they didn't like it where we installed it. Well, you can't just move the antennas. These are aligned.
and they're going to point it straight at a water
focused
tower.
right at the tower. You can't just, oh yeah, we're going to put that in the back of the house because then people won't see it. Well, guess what else won't see it?
Line of sight.
Yeah, got line of sight.
Have you ever had people customize them? We had someone paint it once. And it was like artistically too. It was like, wherever it was on, the mount was painted, and then the brick line went up, so it was a different color for the brick. And we certainly, with our CPs, we maintained possession of them. Right, it wasn't
You weren't
rented
selling
or
them
anything.
then.
Right, we will give this to you, mount this to your home for the duration that you're a customer. Right, so you go and pick this thing up, and it's like, what the hell is this? Why is it orange?
And where do we find an
Would you-
install for that?
Right.
And if you don't have in your terms and conditions or in your contract, if you're using contracts, you can't alter the look of the. I mean,
Who thinks to put that in the
put that in a
contract?
line in
I
the
was going
contract?
to say, we did not have that in
I
our
would not-
contract.
No.
I cannot even think of a single contract I've ever read like that.
No. And to be fair, it's such a rarity that you just sort of laugh and move on, but certainly not what you expect when you
You
go
laugh,
to pick it
move
up.
on, and you use it as an example in your lobby. Don't do this.
Don't do that. Very creative. That's great, but maybe not the place to express your creativity. But we definitely had, customers that were very, very, of course, particular about the aesthetics of things.
yeah.
And you want to do what you can to, meet them in the middle or give kind of the lesser of two evils or whatever the case may be. Did you ever have like really demanding or like even celebrity customers like in your area?
No, probably the most demanding one I can remember was a heart doctor that we had, who was, a pretty well-known heart doctor in the whole area, not just, our small municipality, but, and very particular. And of course, but rightfully, he was fine. He would pay whatever he wanted, whatever plan we had that was a top tier that wasn't good enough. And even when we gave him, beyond that top tier that wasn't, can't you do more? Can't you? But he was willing to pay for it.
Did you
I
sell him
guess.
point to point?
We did. We put in a
Heck yeah.
point to point link to his house because that was the kind of capacity and bandwidth he wanted. But, and then.
What did he need it for?
Well, because he read X-rays.
I was going to
And
say, we had
X-ray files
radiologists.
are
They're
just
massive.
insanely
Yeah.
huge.
I can see
So,
that use
so
case
I
then.
mean, he needed to do it,
And the upload becomes important if you're sending things back.
Right.
So were you charging him commercial rates for his residential
Oh yeah, and but
location?
he had no problems with
Yeah.
it. But then when we got out there and when we finally negotiated what kind of equipment we're going to use, he's like, "No, that's too. You can't put that on my house. The antenna's too big."
Well, it's commercial.
So that goes back to the aesthetics. It's what he wants, but the aesthetics don't match his.
He eventually put up a tower at the edge of his
Yep.
property.
That's exactly how that
And then we
goes.
trenched all the wire back to the house so it wasn't anywhere near the house.
Yep.
Wow.
Cost is no object.
Yeah, right. It really wasn't
Yep.
any object to him, but it's like, wow.
It could be politicians. It could be a celebrity. It could
Yeah.
be a local businessman or woman who feels themselves superior.
Yep.
And I know
Google
that
me.
like with OSS BSS solutions, a lot of times if an ISP is servicing someone who is a public figure, some of those accounts are actually masked in names. They don't want, Kevin Costner's name to pop up on their customer list. I don't know who Kevin Costner's ISP is, but I'm just using that as an option.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever had to, but we had a proper celebrity customer. I think I'm probably past the statute of limitations on this. Very, very well-known international pop musical star from Canada.
Okay, name.
Yeah.
You can give us
I'm
the
a
names?
believer.
I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
I know these things.
And like, it's, first of all, I don't know if he was ever there because, you split your time between different places, but the crew was incredible. His team was great. But I remember that, getting into that relationship, like the technician that goes has to sign an NDA, and like, it really is hush hush, which is understandable.
Yeah,
now,
right.
at some point, of course, everyone realizes where they live, and that kind of becomes public knowledge. But still, being inside the home, like, you don't want that person taking pictures. You don't know what, like, that's pretty. You get a check from TMZ for insider information, right?
Installation
Right, I
is
was
to
gonna
take
say.
pictures of the installation. So
Right.
you have to negotiate that for sure.
Yep.
And speaking of homes, what about brothels and sex worker locations? I mean, it's a thing around the country, right? It's legal in Nevada.
I was going to say, and it is legal in many places. Yeah, of course.
in many places, and your technicians are going out there and they're trying to do the right things, right?
Oh, I've got a good story that's adjacent
Did
to
that
that.
just,
It did. Yeah, I didn't write that one down, but we serviced a nudist colony, and this is definitely not a
I
recommendation,
see.
but we may have sent new technicians out without warning them that that's where they were going.
That's great.
That's not right.
Yes, it is.
That's not right.
absolutely
That's trial by fire.
That's training to be ready for anything.
right. You
And that's
gotta
important.
prepare.
Big part of the job. Yeah.
You
Now,
just don't know.
they didn't have to conform while they were doing the install, did they? Climb the roof nude?
No, that would be, against, I think, our safety rules. Yeah.
I'm going with OSHA would not think that was okay.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, we won't talk about
I'm,
OSHA.
I'm inside. I'm just gonna keep that in my mind. I'm not gonna take that one any further. Okay.
I've got an OSHA story. I mean, we don't have OSHA, but whatever. The
Canadians.
Yeah.
Do you have an equivalent?
We do. Yeah. It's, similar. It's
Yeah.
spoken about in similar ways. But this one was memorable for sure. And this is, nothing, the customer is not at fault here and really nobody's at fault. But we've talked about, like, do you have, one technician or two technicians? Certainly, all of my time in the field was spent solo. And I remember this one distinctly. It was Christmas Eve, and I was wanting to wrap things up. I think it was the last one of the day, and it was proper wintry, blustery. And I had
Canadian winter.
Yep, no, proper winter. And I was up on a roof, and my ladder blew down, and I was
And Santa Claus was going to have to come help you out.
right.
Yeah.
There was no chimney for me to go down. I was stuck up there, and luckily, I believe I did have my phone with me, but I had not called that customer, and I did not have enough signal to like look anything up. So I think I had to call the office and get them to call the customer. So it was, I don't know how long I was up there,
There's
but
a
it was
man
too
on your
long.
roof with a red suit and black boots.
Yeah.
You won't get presents unless you put that ladder back up.
And it was a pretty decent roof, like the
Right.
newer builds where it's kind of like all roof and it's a big
Man,
pitch.
I look at some of the pitches on these houses,
Yes.
and I'm like, I could never. Even in my younger days, I would never have wanted to have been up on those roofs.
I was terrible at roofs. I mean, they always referred to them as boss roofs. Would Larry go onto this? That was the easy
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
The pitch couldn't be any more than like this. Get like that. No, Larry's not.
I'm out.
That's not a training moment right now.
Oh,
well, you set for a different.
We had
time.
the opposite for boss roofs. We had, you need to go because this is sketchy.
Because it was the worst
and,
one.
Because we're okay killing the boss, but not the
basically,
trainee.
yeah.
Great.
At least in that case, there's someone there to hold the ladder, keep it from blowing over or kicking out. But it was challenging because I believe the homeowner was having trouble getting the ladder back up.
No.
Because it was, of course, down, and this was one of the larger ladders,
They're
right?
heavy.
Yeah.
Those 32-foot ladders, if that's what you had, were
Yeah, luckily this wasn't. It was a fully extended whatever.
24.
Yeah, but it was. They were definitely having trouble getting, and I was just like,
even the
You can do it.
24s
I
are
wanna
pretty.
go home.
yep, yep.
So did you start tying off ladders after that? We almost that became our standard policy. Was we tied the ladders to the gutters.
We eventually got some doodads that
Two dads. Is that a
worked
technical term?
sometimes.
No,
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
right. It didn't solve everyone, but it
You can't
certainly
always
made
do
it
it
better.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
If these stories sound familiar, follow Sonar on LinkedIn or Instagram for more real-world conversations about running an ISP.
So OSHA stories, not customer related either in this case, but we had an installer who was doing great. Wanted to, we did some of our own tower work, not all of it, and he wanted to get. We'd had some people tower certified that were our employees, but a lot of times we also contracted it out. So this happened to be a case where we had the contractors coming to help us with some tower work, and he was like, he wanted to get some experience doing it. We're like, great. Except he decided that once he got up on this tower about 160 feet up, that he didn't need to be tied off to go from one side to the other. It was going to be quicker for him to just go across. Well, the other tower company was there, which we used all of the time. They immediately came down, they packed up, left, called me that day and said, we're not ever doing any work for you again.
Ah, damn.
And we couldn't.
Losing a contract like that.
We couldn't because tower
Devastating.
contractors are were like
They're
gold.
precious. They're precious.
Yep.
And I understood. They're like, we can't be associated with this liability. We told him immediately when we saw it, stop, and he kept going. I'm like,
No way.
well, he obviously, we had to terminate him as well. We're like, you can't be doing that. That's.
Well, no.
And he knew he couldn't be doing it, which was the worst part of the whole thing. So
No, you have to be able to trust that there's this sort of innate sense of self-preservation that they're going to make the right decisions, but not everyone has
150 feet
that.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
right.
insane.
That's wild.
I don't care how good you are.
Well,
You
and
slip,
I've
you take
learned
one.
so much about tower climbers and the dangers involved in all of that over the years, and the helicopter work and I love seeing the pictures, but wow, that's a different breed of people that are willing to go up that high in the sky.
Yeah, but done right, it's completely safe. I mean, if you're
Right.
tying yourself off right,
If you're doing it
you
correctly
can
and
slip
double
and
hooking,
fall, and it's going to be annoying, and you might bang yourself against the tower, but you're not falling 150 feet to your death.
Right.
I mean, here one wrong step, the wind.
that's crazy.
Because as soon as you break the tree line,
bird?
it's always windy.
Yep.
I mean, it never is not windy. Something wrong.
A slight distraction can cost you your life.
Right.
You made me think of something in terms of working at height safety. I got to see how to tell this story the best. I think if I go...
Protect the innocent.
Yeah, right.
Names have been changed to protect the innocent.
I think it's better told in terms of like the order in which we unfurled this situation because
Okay.
it was comical. So we got a call one day and they were making reference to, I think it was a recent install. I don't remember why they were calling and it's relevant to the story. And they had maybe they were complaining. I think they may have even been complaining about this in terms of like the install not being professional. Let's go with that.
Okay.
No one, how would you know? Maybe I made this whole thing up. But yeah, they were saying that the technician had his girlfriend up on the roof during the install.
Oh,
And they
okay.
thought that was highly unprofessional. And you can imagine we didn't know what to do with this information. There's a million and one reasons why
You didn't
that's
have
not
it
plausible.
wasn't a female installer.
It was not a female installer. And of course, we have documentation to see who went out. And this person did have a significant other, but why would they be with them at work? And why would, that would be such a
work and
conspicuous,
on the roof.
crazy thing to do, right? But also, generally, I mean, there's just some real wackos out there, but there was some seed of truth to this. So we had to figure it out. And I don't know exactly how it was figured out. I guess just kind of looking at notes and talking and asking around the office. But we were doing some, not I guess sort of cross-training, not for the purpose of like, you're going to now be a technician, but we had it was, you both know, Kristen.
Okay.
Yeah, she was working for technical support at the ISP, and we had her shadowing an install so they can better understand what's happening in the field. Very practical. And
So the homeowner just assumed that the female was a girlfriend, not a staff member.
correct.
Okay.
And to be fair, she wouldn't have been in logoed gear probably, but 100% they would have given context and said, hello, my name is, whatever
well,
for
high
the
five to
installer.
Kristen for being up on the roof.
Yeah, right.
Well, not so fast.
Okay.
Because the technicians have working at heights certifications and training. The technical support reps
Okay.
sure as heck do not. So props to her. But no, she should not have been up there. So of course, that's then where this went, both to her, like, come on now. And also to the technician, like, you know better. You're the one who's had the ad heights training, like what in the world? But it was just so funny. There was that moment in time where it's like he had his girlfriend.
Oh, you
on
really
the
did
roof.
have to unravel a mystery there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
All right. What about the caller ID customer? So we had one.
Not it.
We
Caller
had,
ID. I know exactly what we're talking about.
We had Peg, and I guarantee any of my employees watching this podcast, when I say Peg, the hair stands up on their arms, and they know that she called continuously. I think it was more of a loneliness thing. She wanted somebody to talk to.
Yep.
I have to hope so. Otherwise, I mean, I don't have any concerns that she's going to see this because I'm pretty sure she couldn't start streaming a video, maybe even yet today. But It was great for outbound calling though, because as soon as they saw Peg call up on the call ID, every one of the
Everybody's
support
getting to work.
people would grab a phone and start making
gotta
an
follow up on
outbound
this ticket,
support
boss.
call. Right.
Oh, that's funny.
But then she gained affinity to one of the employees, and so they were all more than welcome to transfer. Oh, you want to talk to George? Yeah, hang on. Let me transfer you over
Way
to
to go,
George.
George.
Yeah.
Lucky George.
And George was the kind of guy. He
but
he
you know what,
was
Larry?
great with the customers.
I think most operators have that one person in the office that is the woo-saw for the troublesome customers. They are empathetic. You know, maybe they tilt their head and say bless your heart, but you know they're gonna take that conversation and they're gonna make the customer feel okay and they're gonna get it wrapped up and move it along. But I totally understand that caller ID and you're like, oh no, not me, not today.
So our peg was Patty.
all right,
Some about P names, I guess.
Don't name your kid with a P.
And very similar situation where, you know, like once you got on the phone, good luck getting off, that kind of thing. And it's interesting because once you clock that this person is not being a pain or incapable of troubleshooting or whatever, and you truly understand this is, like you said, just loneliness or looking for human connection or however you want to frame it, I find it's easier to work with those people. And I think this wouldn't be a blanket strategy, but I think at least with her, whether this is something that we sort of did in a concerted way or it just sort of evolved that way, we kind of almost gave her permission to like drop the ruse, because what happens, like you this very loose reason for phoning in, and we almost were just like, just chat with her, you know, so she didn't feel this pressure to like make up a ghost problem that you have to try and diagnose.
Right,
It's
that
just
you're
like, no, we
diagnosing
can
something
just
that doesn't exist. If you just want to call in,
we can
call
just
in.
chat.
It's okay.
Yeah, and you know, even down to the point where, you know, like when you would just sort of budget that time into the service call, because you at the end of the day, she was a really sweet lady, and she was very entertaining actually. But when it's under this ruse of I have a problem, that is
It's wasting
complicated.
energies.
That's right. It's
Right.
almost easier to just be like, no, you know, let's just chat.
And that to me is you've turned that into a heart story, not a troubleshooting conversation, right?
Yep.
And that's a great way that basically is a great way for us to wrap this session of Tales from the Field, I think. Wonderful story, makes me feel good. Not a snake, all is well. Not a
like
snake
it.
or a spider. Thanks for sharing the stories, guys.
Laughing at the stories is one thing. Fixing what causes them is another. Next time, we're breaking down the operational bottlenecks ISPs don't realize they have and the traps that stall growth without warning.
Remember, when you connect communities, you unlock what's possible. Until next time.